Hello and welcome to Underlords Universe. This is a place where we get together, my colleagues and I, we get together to discuss the things that inspire us to be creative in our own right, because that's right, folks. We are musicians of a sort, kind of unschooled, untooled musicians and writers. But we do a project called Underlords of the Overworld, and our bass player, this guy down here, writes under the name H. Prescott Lemon. He writes fiction, and they all kind of weave together into a creative kind of, I don't know, Josh, what would you say? What would you describe it as?
A bizarre, darkly absurd mirror universe
Yes, there
that
we go. I like
connects and
that.
ties into the music to create a
Yes,
conceptual melange.
excellent. Love it. And and here's the thing. If you stumbled across our channel for the first time, and presumably you did because Ghost, the band Ghost, and their catalog is the topic of today. Um, but if you're new to us, please like, subscribe, etc. But we'll just do a little bit more about our own stuff at the end of this. As you can probably figure out, we're not professional YouTubers. You're not going to see fancy editing and things like that. We're just doing this because we like to talk about the stuff that we like and stuff that we love, and we just like to throw it out there and see what other people think, and then maybe touch base with like-minded folks. That's what this is all about. So, again, if you're new to us, like, subscribe, etc. If you are a Ghost fan or a Ghost supporter, today what we're going to be doing is a discussion of their 6 studio albums and a ranking. And we do this a little bit differently than some other YouTuber folks out there, and that's fine because everybody's kind of got their own method, but we have a method. Brent, do you want to explain the method?
Sure. So we take each record and we listen to the records, and each song can get up to 5 stars or 5 points. So, with five being obviously the best score, and one or zero in some cases being the worst score. So, we take the total number of points or stars, divide it by the number of songs on the album. So, for example, if you have um, 9 songs on a record, and the total score for the record is 36. Divided by 9 is 4, so it's a 4-star record, and we convert that into a percentage. So 36 out of 45 would be what is that, 90 or 80% or something like that.
Yeah, that's you can pull out that little phone of yours and do the calculation.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
but
I'm
basically,
mathematically challenged, so I don't do the actual percentage. For me, it comes out into a score of like 4.0, 4.25, etc. But it is the same mathematically as what you guys do.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's just a
it's
different
So in
modality.
short, basically, if you divide by the total number of songs, you're going to get an average out of 5.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
you divide out of the total points possible, you're going to get a percentage.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So
So
we're
now,
trying to quantify that which is really unquantifiable.
yes,
It's
that's true. And here's where this comes from, folks. The idea, I watch a few people that do ranking videos now and then, and sometimes I'm a little perplexed about, oh, why did they put this album ahead of that album when they really just talked up this album, but then they kind of badmouth the album that they ranked higher than that. And so sometimes I get a little confused about why people rate things the way that they do. Not to, slight anybody. People, everybody's got their own opinion. They got their own feelings about music and how it impacts them, and that's fine. That's great. What we decided to do was we wanted to try to create a system where we might surprise ourselves, and that happens a lot when we get
Yeah.
into these albums.
Yeah.
And usually when we do this, we give them full listens, listen with fresh ears, and then just kind of give, like Brent said, a score from up to 5 points per song. So and then do the calculations. So the other thing that we do with this is that we're going to discuss each album chronologically as they were released, and then at the end disclose to each other and to whoever is viewing the ranking. So again, we do this a little differently than other folks, and that's fine. Again, it's not to knock the way other people do it. There's no perfect way of doing it. We will recognize there are flaws in our system. It's not perfect, but it's what we chose to do. So, with that, we're going to get into the Ghost catalog here today, and I'd like to start by saying a couple things about it. Number one, because we're old, this is a new band to us, sort of still. but we got into the band when the band came out.
Yeah.
If you were, and you can say that because of our age, but like it really, this is not a new band anymore at all. I mean, if you're like a high school student that gets into Ghost for the first time, you'd look at this and go, "Wow, these guys have been around for." I mean, what was the debut? Was this 2010? Is that right?
Yeah,
2011.
2011. Okay. I think it's 2010 in Europe, I
2010.
think 2011. So, I mean, a kid, a teenager would be like, yeah, that their first album came out when I was born. And it's like they're old now. And it's like, yeah, I mean they are, which is kind of crazy because I remember when this album came out, and Josh, you of the three of us, you were the first one to actually pick it up.
I was.
And you were like, you got to get this. So I
Yeah.
got it. And I could not stop listening to this record. And then when the second album came out, it was like, crossing your fingers that it was going to hold up. And I could not stop listening to Infestissumam when that came out. It
Yeah.
was just like, and so to my point, rating these albums was interesting to me because they did not put out an album that, in my opinion, had a song that I even disliked until the fifth album. So to me, that's how consistent this band
We're
is.
going to have a robust discussion here.
Yes. Well, and we know, and as a band, that it's the Tobias Ford show. Um, it's effectively a solo project, but um, I think that the degree to which it's a solo project has kind of shifted a little bit in terms of the chronology of the albums and how that all pans out. But let's just take it one album at a time. And what we typically do when we do this is we kind of just do our general impressions of the album, high points and low points. We don't really discuss the numbers so much. And we kind of surprise each other with kind of the ratings at the end of it. But when you have an album like this here's Opus Eponymous, the debut record. And when I was listening to this, when it was kind of new, I to point to a high point and a low point would have been difficult. I would have said the whole thing is a high point, straight across the board. It's like start to finish perfect. Um, and I think that you can still make that claim. There are songs if I push myself, and this is where the rating system comes in. If I kind of push myself and say, well, is every song really a five on here? And ultimately, I don't think so. But I do think it's darn near perfect record. Um, but if I were to point to like a song that really had an impact right away, it's Satan Prayer.
Hmm.
Um, there's just something just mildly amusing about that song. And it's kind of like disco beat and it's absurdity. And I love it. I just love it. And Susan, my wife, hated it. She was hearing it, and I was listening to it in another room, and she was like, "What in
The
the
song or the album?
this song, that song?" And she's like, "What?" She goes, "What is that? That sucks." And I was like, "You're insane. This is great." But she had her own opinions, and her opinions have since changed actually. But no, to me that would be a high point on the record. Obviously, you can't go wrong with a song like Ritual. I think Stand By Him is a really interesting song, and that's the last thing I'm going to say about this, and then I'll shut up and ask you guys what you think. But Stand By Him, I think, is an interesting song because I think that the subtext of the song is kind of a feminist, kind of women's empowerment type of song. And I thought that was really kind of a unique thing. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that interpretation, but that's how I interpret the song Stand By Him. So that's another really high point for me as well. You guys?
Brent.
Josh, you go next.
Okay. Yeah, no, this album really kind of fired the imagination when it came out because it's heavy, it's very imaginative. Um, it's evocative. It evokes a lot of imagery in the mind. I love music that does that, particularly as a writer. I love that, and I think that this album does that perfectly. God, there are no low points on this album. The lowest score I will say, the lowest score I gave on this album was a 4. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pieces like the Deus Culpa, which is kind of the organ intro,
Yeah.
and songs like that are hard to rate because it's not like, I mean, it's kind of a weird intro piece. So the way I approach pieces like that is, does this contribute to the album? Does it reflect the album and add to the album? And if it does, I give it a pretty good score. I'm not going to give something like that a 5, but I gave it a 4. Even that
Mm-hmm.
got a 4 because it's like it contributes to the whole mood of the album.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I think that, again, there's no low points in this album. For me, the fives, there are a few fives in this album. Ritual, Elizabeth,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth
Yes.
Bathory,
Mm-hmm.
vampire, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And Death Knell. I love Death Knell, but Brian,
Oh,
I love Satan Prayer too. That got a 4.5. I mean, this album is just like that from like the start to finish. It's just a great album. I still love it. I hadn't listened to it in years. Um, but I pulled it out for tonight's thing, and it's like I just listened to it and I was like, yeah, this held up, man. This is just a great album start to finish. I love it. Possibly one of the best debut albums of all time.
yeah. And you mentioned how it's heavy. And of course, they've gotten criticism. Ghost has gotten criticism for it, like, oh, they're not really metal, they're not really heavy.
Right.
But this, if this album came out, say in 74,
Mm,
the people would have been saying, "Oh my gosh, that's heavy."
yeah.
And
But
I
they're
think,
really melodic. So,
oh
I
yeah,
mean it's melodic heavy, and it's a brilliant album. I love it. It holds up. It's, a
yeah.
borderline desert island album for me.
Well,
More on that
I
later.
think, I think, in terms of the production, and it's fairly lo-fi, but extraordinarily well done in that
Oh
regard
yeah.
because it's
Oh yeah.
sort of akin to stoner rock in that
Hmm.
regard,
Yeah.
but it's not stoner rock.
No.
It's not it's more melodic than that. It's
Yeah.
and I think that that's where, they just he Tobias Forge, he just really hit the sweet spot
Yeah.
sonically and in terms of the writing. So, yeah, Brent, do you have any different thoughts on the debut in that sense?
Not really. I approach like I would agree with you guys. There's no low points on the record. I mean, but like Deus Culpa and Genesis, if I had to pick
Oh,
two tracks, I gave those threes. My approach to songs like that or instrumental pieces, it's hard to rate like a Deus Culpa or a Genesis for that matter, but they have to be extraordinarily good for me to give them a rating over a 3. So they're they're there. They're not bad tracks, but they're not my favorite songs on the record. My favorite songs on the record are Ritual and Elizabeth.
Mm, okay.
Two previously
Yeah.
mentioned tracks.
Yeah.
I gave those each 5 stars. But the record is very consistent. It sounds really good. Some people don't like his vocals. I think his vocals are great. We can talk about his vocals. Um, I think the guitars sound fantastic on this record. You talked about how it's not really high fidelity, but um, the guitars aren't crisp and sharp, but they're not dull like you would have maybe
They're
on a
very
stoner rock.
Nope. They're very warm and mid-rangey.
Yeah, yeah. And everything is the production is very good all the way around. It's a very solid, heavy rock record.
So,
Um, I don't think it's a metal album. I think it's a very good hard rock record in the vein of, and we've talked about this, in the vein of like old school Boys to Cult
yeah.
type of.
Now, it, I think, Josh, you used the term evocative earlier. When I listen to this album, even, whether it's now or back in the day when it came out, when I listen to this record, it's sonically like going into some world. Like you
yeah,
sense
it
that there
is. That's a
was
good description.
something else underneath all of this, and there
Yeah.
was there was there was a bit of mystery to it because of course nobody knew who the band was or who was playing the lead role. I mean, I did a lot of digging around because I was so darn curious, and that's what stumbled me across Magna Carta Cartel and that whole thing. But that's a story for another episode. But it does kind of evoke a sense of backstory and a sense of like, well, who are these guys and what is their deal? And you
Yeah.
know it's just entertainment, but you can suspend your disbelief a little bit and go, oh, but what else is behind all of this? You know?
Just a literary connection. My love of old pulp horror stories. And I think that for their first few albums, and I think this one in particular, it's almost like an old Robert Bloch story,
Yeah.
or something like that. I mean, it's just there's just something so the word is it's hard to describe. It's just it's I mean, stories like that aren't literature, but they're just so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I think that this album is very it's like a musical pulp story, and I love it.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Now, I will say the only Ghost thing I don't have in physical form is their cover of the Beatles' "Here Comes the Sun."
Hmm.
And that's on the Japanese CD. I do have it all on CD as well, but I don't have the Japanese import. One of these days, I intend to get it, so I have that in my collection because even that, I mean, it's not officially streaming in the States. Even if you can find it on YouTube, but on your basic streaming services, you can't really find an official release of Here Comes the Sun. I just wanted to note that because I think that it's a clever um, it's a clever cover for them to do because there's a
They
bit
do
of
a
a
lot of
double
covers.
well, yeah, but it's a double entendre, if you will, because the theme of the first Ghost album is the coming of the Antichrist, and Here Comes the Sun is and then of course the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun is very, major key. It's kind of happy, and Ghost's version is just very dour and minor key, and I think it's honestly brilliant. I think if you're a Beatles fan, you might hate it, but I like it. So I just want to make a comment about that. Um, so great album. Okay. And I remember the anticipation for Infestissumam because I was
Yep.
thinking, okay, now that they've got some sort of attention, are they gonna kind of ratchet up the heaviness a little bit and kind of address the criticism that they aren't heavy enough? And are they gonna kind of really go down that road? But then when the album came out, Infestissumam, it was like they went in the opposite direction. It was like, I mean, there's glorious choirs in there, and there's moments that are I think more poppy than
Yeah.
anything on the debut. And I was so pleased about that. That it was kind of like, no, this is us. We're doing something different than everybody else, and it's a bit of a throwback, of course, but we're gonna kind of just shove melodic rock, played by these guys, which was just
Yeah.
I thought just it's just brilliant. So
Like surfer rock, even.
yeah,
They
there's
blend a lot of different styles.
yeah,
I mean, that's one of the things about this album is
Waltz.
waltz, surfer rock,
hmm
heavier stuff, choirs. I mean, it is a cornucopia of musical styles,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
that was a real leap and something that was really adventurous to do and risky because you're just starting to establish a fan base, and then you go in this crazy direction,
right,
and I loved it. I
yeah.
loved it.
I
This
could not.
album, 2013, I couldn't stop listening to it.
No,
It lived in my CD player.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason I have all these on vinyl and on CD. Um, so yeah, and of course the second album was produced by Nick Raskulinecz, who in our world is most known for being the producer of Rush's last two records. Of course, he's done other stuff too, but um, now the ooh, I just heard some thunder out there. Interesting.
Hmm.
Um, the thing about
We're
this,
angering the gods with this tonight.
well, okay, so. one of the guys that's in the band this time, his name is Martin Persner, and he was also in Magna Carta Cartel, which had also had Tobias Forge in it at one point. And if you go back to this time period, there were two guys doing a lot of interviews. It was Tobias Forge and Martin Persner, and it, that for, they would kind of disguise their voices and things like that. And Tobias Forge always did it dressed as a regular ghoul, not dressed as Papa, etc. And it was kind of like, okay, these are the two main guys in the band. And it is true to Martin Persner did not play on the debut. He didn't write on the debut, but he did contribute to the writing of Infestissumam. He co-wrote Body and Blood, Monstrance Clock, and he is the main writer for Year Zero. I think I read that Tobias Forge himself has said that Year Zero actually came from an idea from Martin Persner. I don't, can't cite my source on that right now, but I believe that's what I've read. Um, all the other tracks though were written by Tobias Forge exclusively. Um, but I wanted to point that out because it starts to feel like a band. On the first album, it felt like a band because you didn't know differently. On the second album, it's like now looking back in hindsight, it's like, well, is this really a Tobias Forge solo thing? By and large, yes, it is. But at this period, they're kind of acting more like a band because you're getting this co-writing with Martin Persner, who's guitar player in the band. So, and with that, just like the last album, it's really hard for me to pick a low point. I do remember listening to Year Zero like on repeat though, because I think that song is so powerful. Um, I was also a big fan. I'm a big fan of Gule, Zombie Queen. Just love that start to finish. I think Secular Haze is great because you know it's not the only song in a in a waltz time, but it's so waltzy sounding in addition to the time signature. Um, what do you guys say?
Brent, you go this time.
I pretty much echo what you said. There's a part of the album towards the end where it tapers off a little bit for me between Body and Blood and Depth of Satan's Eyes. If I had to pick a low point, relatively speaking, because nothing on this record got lower than a 3 for me, it would be Idolatrine.
Okay.
But the standout cuts for me would be Secular Haze, Jiggle Hermagido, Year Zero, Monstrance Clock. Those are all 5-star songs, and I have a couple other songs that get 4 stars. Like Josh said, it's really a cornucopia of so many different musical styles and meldings, and it's very risky for them to do this on or him to do this on the second album because the first album is it's a rock record. This is a rock album, but it's got some twists and turns on it that maybe you weren't expecting. But I remember when I heard it, very pleased, surprised, and loved it all, and listened to it on repeat like you guys did. So I think this record is, on the whole, extremely solid start to finish, despite the adventurous twist that it takes. I think all those different styles are very successful, and they work within the context of what Ghost was doing at this time, which is what 12 years ago, right? This came out in 2013.
Yeah.
So it would be fair to say they've never really done a record like this since then. This kind of is a different record unto itself, which I think gives it a little bit of charm. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not,
Yeah,
but it really does stand on its own in that regard.
It does stand out and it's different. I will say this. So I hadn't listened to the album in years. I kind of OD'd on it and they've done so much since then that I hadn't really listened to it in years. So I pull it out and it's like, okay, let's go. Let's listen to this. And I still love this record. I will say it maybe didn't age quite as well as the debut album for me. There are a lot of 5s on this album. Like you said, Brent, Gigolo Megiddo is a 5. Zombie Queen, Brian, that is a 5 for me. Monstrance Clock, the hidden bonus track, the Mantra Mori, that's a 5. I love that hidden track at the end. I freaking love that thing.
And it's weird
Um,
because it's just a repetitive.
yeah, but I still it's like and he cited Blue Oyster Cult as a big influence, and to me that sounds so Blue Oyster Cult.
well, and it's funny because it's a mantra, like
Yeah.
the fact that it's repeated. Yeah.
I will say there are a couple of lower points, and by lower points I mean it scored below a 4 for me. So a
Okay.
couple of lower points. Body and Blood and Idolatry did not age as well. For me, I remember at the time I loved them because they were so different. In hindsight, I was like, yeah, I know they're good. I mean, they're good. I like them, but not quite as consistent as that first album.
It's
And it's a
it's
much more expansive and diverse album than that first album.
it's
So that's
funny.
I
another.
re I really like the chorus of Body and Blood. It's the rest of the song that kind of drags it down a little bit for me. Even though the chorus is very upbeat and poppy,
Hmm.
major, it's great. The rest of the song, I don't like it as much. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
Well,
that's why I give Body and Blood a 3.5. It's just the
so
rest of the song
Yeah,
is
three and
on
a half.
on the first two albums, there are no songs that I dislike at all.
I wouldn't say I
Like
dislike these songs. I
right.
would say and that's the thing about these
you
albums
like them
is
less. You like them a little bit less than the other
I
songs.
like them a little bit less, but I still
Yeah.
love this album start to finish.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yes. So
And
to
the
yeah,
album scores
exactly.
very well.
So to that point, I think it's interesting. We're actually in agreement, I think, to a certain degree about that because the lowest score I gave this song on this album was Body and Blood, and I gave it a 3.
I gave
Okay.
it a
Here's another
3.5. And I
way.
think I tend to rate things a little higher than you, Brian. So we're probably pretty aligned in how we feel about that
Yeah,
song.
probably. One of the things that I think about it is like if I put either of these first two albums on, I'm not gonna skip anything. Like they're
Nope.
not these aren't skippable songs.
Nope.
I mean they're skippable. Anything is skippable, but I just wouldn't. I just let it roll because it's part of the album experience. That's the other thing is I think that Tobias Forge in these albums has created albums that have flow to them. There's like a musical arc to them that between the beginning and the end, you get this kind of musical story.
And
And
yeah.
even that's one of the other reasons I wanted these on vinyl as well, because even when you listen to it on CD, you can kind of hear halfway through. It's like, okay, here's where side one would end. You have to go
Yeah.
flip over, and here's where side two would begin. And he really understands the flow of an album and the sequencing. And I really appreciate that.
And
So,
the word I would again use for this album is very evocative. It conjures, if you will.
well, I will. I will. Because I think that listening to that album does the same type of thing that the first album did. It brought me into some sort of musical theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also speaking of the kind of the details of the album, it's interesting. The scoring and the kind of the orchestral stuff was done by David Campbell, who is the father of Beck,
Yeah.
and he has also done work with everybody from Rush to Michael Jackson. He's on the Kiss Alive 4 um, um, orchestra in Australia. Brent, what's that called? Kiss Alive 4. Oh, it's just called Alive 4, Kiss Symphony, right?
Kiss Symphony, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and David Campbell's in makeup, Kiss makeup, conducting the orchestra and everything. And he's the guy who did all the orchestration on this record. So I just thought that was worth pointing out as well. So okay, so we got two really solid records here. We're going to obviously wait till the end to see where these things rank. And just a side note here, that's where our rating system comes in because on any given day, if you ask me which of these albums ranks ahead of the others, I might give a different answer. So doing the rating system kind of pinned me down a little bit, and the
Yeah.
results just kind of spoke for themselves. So eventually we get the third album, Meliora, which by the way, I think you should note, I'm just going to go back for a second on the first two records. Um, Opus Eponymous, always the title of Opus Eponymous always kind of made me chuckle a little bit because it's basically means self-titled work. Opus is work and eponymous is the thing that it's named after. So, and then infestissimum basically means I had to kind of look that one up. Yeah. Well, it's like it's what the word infest is a root of. So in Latin it's like attack or aggressor. And the if the theme of the first album is the coming of the Antichrist, the theme of the second album is the presence of the Antichrist, which is why the title is aggressive or attacker. The third album, Meliora, that means better. And it's kind of an ironic title in my mind because if there's a theme that kind of runs through the album, it's the absence of God, which is different than the other um, themes, the previous. So when this album came out, I was absolutely floored by it. Um, this was just yet another album I couldn't stop listening to. It's riffier. The guitar riffs are more upfront. Um, it's again, there's not a song on here that I would just voluntarily skip over. Josh, do you want to start with this one?
Um, this may be the highest rated album I've ever done in our time rating albums. So,
That's a spoiler alert.
um, there's a couple of little interludes on here, Spoke Sonat and Devil Church,
Yep.
and I gave those fours because I like them, and I think they contribute to the overall album.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say it. Everything else, every proper song on this album, got a five.
It's hard not
It's
to.
insane.
It's
I've never done that before. But I went back and I listened to it, and it's like I can't not give these songs fives. I mean, it's just that album. And
it's
I don't know if I've ever rated an album higher in the time
it,
I've been rating albums. It's just this is a perfect record. It's a perfect record. It sounds perfect. The sequencing is perfect. The production is perfect. The songs are perfect. It's a perfect record. I'll just leave it at that.
question for you. I just saw you. Do you have that version?
I sure do have that
Okay.
version.
Okay. So this is an import. I actually I have two CD versions of this as well as the vinyl. Brent, do you have this edition?
I do not.
Then you do not have a physical copy of Zenith.
Mm. And I didn't rate that song
I don't.
because it's a bonus track, so I didn't rate it. But if I
Mhm.
did rate it, guess what? It would have been a five.
That's okay. So that was going to be my question because um, I I think when I first heard Zenith, it was not easily available in the States. Now you can stream it because it's on a digital compilation that they put out a year or so ago. But um, when I heard Zenith, I was just like I was absolutely floored. I'm like, this might be the best thing that they've ever recorded. This is incredible.
It's just insane. This album's insane.
It is. Now,
It's almost too good. Like,
before Brent, before you jump in here, I want to also point out that Martin Persner has more writing credits on this album than he does on Infestissumam. So, in a certain sense, Meliora has even more of this kind of band feel because you have two guys in the band that are writing here. Martin Persner co-wrote He Is, Mummy Dust, Majesty, uh, Spirit, and Absolution. And it's like this guy, I mean, he's a real talent. Um, my understanding from what I've read, though, is that he did not play on the record.
mm,
And it's during the tour for Meliora that they really started to get some personnel issues. And I don't know anything about that. But that's just what it seemed to be like. I mean, when they played
it's
in Des Moines,
foreboding.
when they played in Des Moines, for example, they played without a bass player on stage. So, and in Minneapolis the next night. So, or I guess it was St. Paul, but so yeah, so there was some things going on there. Don't really know the situation. I don't really care personally, except that um, I kind of wonder what that writing partnership would have led to if Martin Persner had not left the band. Because from the next three albums are they really are the Tobias Ford show. I mean, it always was the Tobias Ford show, but it's clearly that after this. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, put that in there. So, but I don't
Brent,
have
what are your
anything.
thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that I just think, just referencing that and like, because I said Martin co-wrote Spirit, I just think that the use of like the mellotron and the theremin and the harmony guitar solo on Spirit is so perfect. It's like, I mean, bands don't write like that anymore. And to have something like this, and I know it's not a new album anymore, but it was new it was new to us when it came out, and it was like when it came out, it's like bands aren't doing this, but not only is this band doing it, but they're doing it on such a high level.
That's insane.
It is insane. Brent?
Um, Josh made a comment about the production. This is one of the best sounding records that I've ever heard. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
That
Everything sounds.
bass at the beginning of From the Pinnacle to the Pit.
Oh, it's like the perfect. It's like the perfect bass sound. I mean, everything sounds perfect.
Yeah.
This is the best sounding of the Ghost albums in my view.
Okay.
They all sound good, but this sounds amazing. Um, Again, I differ with Josh on Spoke Sonata and Devil Church. I give those a 3 because again, there's nothing about them that for my criteria, it's got to be something like extraordinary for me to give a little piece like that more than a 3, and I didn't do that. The rest of the album is a different story. I mean, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 6 5-star songs on the record and 2 4-star songs. So if you
I'm
remove
curious, what are your
those two
four-star
little,
songs?
huh?
I'm curious,
What?
what are your four-star songs?
Spirit and Mummy Dust.
Spirit, I almost made a 4.5, but then I went back and listened to it again, and it's like, nah, it's a 5.
But Pinnacle to the Pit, Cerise, uh, and Davis and Absentia are just
Mm.
mind blowing.
Oh,
And then Absolution is probably my favorite Ghost song of all time.
all time.
It
All-time favorite
is
song.
that it's probably one of my top 10 favorite rock songs of any band all time. It's that
Agreed.
good.
Mhm.
And it's the greatest riff.
Yeah.
And it's and on this record again, he does a great Tobias Forge, Martin Persner, whatever you wanted to say about that. It's the perfect combination of dark but palatable,
Yeah.
uh,
It's
catchy,
very sweet.
catchy but off-putting. It's
Yeah.
safe but it's dangerous. It's like
Yeah,
it's kind of like if we would have been older when the original Sabbath records came out, probably a little bit like if you would hear After Forever off of Master of Reality. It's kind of like that's different for Sabbath, but there's still a bit of a dark. Obviously, Master of Reality is a really dark, heavy record, and After Forever is heavy, but it's different. It's like uplifting, and there's stuff on this record like He Is, which is a beautiful song.
Yeah.
But it also has some darkness to it. So this record is a really, really good melding of all that stuff, and it's a beautiful album. I
Well,
mean, if you know what I mean by that, I
yeah,
can't say it's perfect, but it is so good, so good.
it's threading a needle between darkness and light.
Yeah. But
And
it does it seamlessly.
mhm.
Yeah,
So you don't really even notice.
it's also
There's a
sequenced perfectly.
real sheen to it on one hand, but there's this corresponding darkness. I mean, this is again, like I said, this is the highest album I've ever rated. I don't know if I've ever rated an album this high.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
like a Moving Pictures by Rush. It's in that rarefied air to me of
So
just
I got a
it
question
is
for you.
it is for me too. I've rated albums higher than this, but it's in the upper echelon for me as well.
So I got a question for you then. I guess this is more for you, Josh, since Brent doesn't own a version with Zenith. Should Zenith have been on the album
yeah,
proper?
absolutely.
Okay. Would
I
you where would you have sequenced it?
Probably before or probably after Absolution
See,
and
to
before
me,
Deus in Absentia.
the difficulty with Zenith is in the sequencing to me because
Yeah, I agreed.
I
Agreed.
think,
I made a snap judgment there. I'm
oh, of
not quite
course,
sure. If I really played with it, I might put it somewhere else in the album.
here's what I would have done. Um, I think because Deus in Absentia is an absolutely perfect album closer.
Yes.
I would have done one of those little tricks where
Oh,
you
yep.
have a track at the end that has nothing on it for
Yeah.
45 seconds, 50 seconds, and then Zenith comes in as like a bonus track. But you'd at
That would
least
have
have
worked
that
great.
like a little palate cleanser at the end to
Yeah.
say the album's over, but here's like a little coda,
Yeah.
But the Zenith absolutely stands up against the rest of the album.
Oh, yeah.
It's that good. So okay, should we move along to the next one?
Boy, this is where I think it's going to get really interesting, the discussion, because so far we've just been singing their praises and talking about how great they are. This is where the discography gets interesting, and
And
I'm really
it's
looking
gonna get
forward to this
interesting.
part of the discussion.
Yeah, I think it's going to get interesting because we're not going to agree on some of these things.
Mm,
This is why I think where our disagreements are going to start coming because we've been pretty
yes.
much in line with each other.
Yeah.
So, all right, Prequelle comes out in oh gosh, Brent, what year's Prequelle?
2018.
2018. I should remember that. I can remember this album came out. I remember exactly when it came out, and Susan and I went and saw them like right after it came out. Um, saw them twice on this tour. And so Prequelle, the theme of this record is like humanity confronting death. And it's kind of nominally hinted at that it's kind of set in the Middle Ages with the Black Death, but I think it could represent anything that is kind of really cataclysmic that humanity has to kind of come to grips with. Um, And that's a theme that really resonates with me for whatever reason. And what I'm going to say about this record is that I think while Meliora is, I mean, it's a perfect record. Um, I think that there's a logical flow, a logical growth from Meliora to Prequelle. Um, and I feel like Prequelle has a a sequence and a flow to the album that feels cinematic. It's not to say that the flow is and the sequencing is lesser on Meliora. I think this is just as good. This is perfect as a rock album. I think the sequence and flow here is perfect as like almost like theater, but not in a show tunes kind of way. And I say that knowing I think Josh is going to have some thoughts on that. My actual notes says here's my notes. Outstanding flow for an album. It feels almost like a musical, but not like show tunes.
That's an interesting I hadn't even I've never really thought about that. I would agree with that. It's not show tuny. Um, yeah, that's a good point. It's a good call out.
Yep. By
Well,
show
Brent, what are your
tuning,
thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? Or I don't know if you're
well,
done, Brian, but
just wait one more thought. By show tuning, I mean like jazz hands.
No,
There's no jazz hands on this record.
there are some
And
jazz
and I
hands.
see I'm baiting Josh Brent because I know he's already said see there's no jazz hands on this record.
There are.
Oh, see, no, there's not. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. You guys go ahead and fight.
Well,
Brent,
Josh,
you go. No, Brent, you go. You go on this one next.
okay.
I'm going to close this one out.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot to say about this record. Now that Brian mentioned this whole thing about show tunes and whatnot, it's an interesting call out. I don't know that I would disagree with it. This album is good. The high point for me is a poppy song, Dance Macabre. That's my favorite song on the record.
Okay.
But I also like Rats and Faith and Miasma and Witch Image. Those rank really high as well. This record has a handful of songs that are kind of below the 4-star mark for me, so it drags it down just a little bit. But again, very solid production, quality songwriting. Like Brian said, and I would agree with this. This is kind of where it becomes like the Tobias Ford show. It's not like Hall and Oates anymore. It's just Hall or Oates, right? Whichever you prefer. But it's a really good Ghost album. Again, it's palatable.
Let me ask you.
Accessible. It's heavy.
Let me ask you, Brent. Brent, let me ask you, what is the lowest score you gave a song on Prequelle?
3.
What was it?
Ashes.
Okay.
But as I was saying, it's a combination of all the things that make Ghost really good. Again, in this record, and that's I think that's what we all like.
I didn't rate anything lower than a 3.5 on this, and
That's the only song I gave a 3 to.
let's see. I also have 1, 2, 3, 4 5-star songs on this album.
I just have the one. That's interesting.
What's the one 5-star?
Dance Macabre. And then I have Rats, Faith, Miasma, and Witch Image. I gave those all 4s.
See, I gave Rats a 5. I gave Faith a 5. I almost gave See the Light a 5. I gave it a 4.5, but I could, on a good day, I could see giving it a 5. I gave Dance Macabre a 4.5. I could see giving it a 5 on a good day. And Life Eternal. I think Life Eternal, to me, it's short. It's like 3.5 minutes, but it feels. And let me restate this. It doesn't feel long, but it feels epic.
Interesting.
To me.
See the Light is an interesting track that I like the chorus for See the Light quite a bit. I don't like the rest of the song as much. So that's why I gave that a 3.5. But it's interesting because, like Josh said, we're not disagreeing, but
we are.
We're separating a little bit. I mean, we still like the songs. We just don't like them consistently as much as we did on the first.
It's okay to disagree, and apparently fiercely disagree. So, Josh, go ahead. Go ahead with your jazz hands.
So to be fair, I pulled the album out and I listened to it.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, it scored well in that it's a decent album and it does sound good and there is good stuff on it. It just does not come close to the first 3 albums for me. It's just not even in the ballpark. So only one 5-star song for me, which is Miasma, which I really like.
Okay.
Really great song. There are some 4s on here. Faith, See the Light, Witch Image. God, I can't even. My writing is so bad. I can't even read my own writing. And the songs are so.
Well, it's good knowing you
Purely and obtusely titled.
Given the fact that you write your novels longhand, that's
Helverstossenwasser, whatever that song is a 4.
Helvetifunster.
That's what I said. There's solid stuff. There's solid stuff. Let me just say a couple things I don't like.
Go ahead.
I talk about how these kind of little pieces that they do, like those are really important pieces, kind of the interlude pieces, the intro pieces, can really contribute to the. I cannot stand Ashes. And Brian, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, it's about the plague, so they did the.
No, that's not what I'm going to say.
Oh my God, please don't do that.
Don't presume. Because
I'm presuming. I'm gonna
no here. I think I want to get in on this. So I would honestly say it doesn't matter ultimately what something is about. That has no bearing on whether you like it or not. I mean, you can say I don't like this, and I'm not going to say, well, it's
What'd you
about
give that?
X, Y, and
What
Z.
did you give Ashes?
3.5.
I gave it a two because it bugs me.
Okay,
Um, and you love Rats,
I do.
and Rats. Okay, to be fair, Rats scored a 3.5. It's an okay song, and there's cool stuff in the song, and it sounds good.
Hmm.
But I just cannot. It just I can't do it, man. Rats, rats, rats. I just it just it's just no,
Okay.
no,
All right.
no.
Fine. Fair
And
enough. That's okay. That's okay. Rats. Okay. So
I
what
can't,
what else? What else was on the lower side then for you?
um, Dance Macabre, Brent.
what? It's
I gave that a three.
a great song, man.
But I want to bewitch you, man.
Well,
I no, I no,
well, you realize
no.
it's just a stupid play on words.
I don't care.
Okay.
You don't
No,
want to bewitch me all night?
I really don't,
Now,
or
okay,
anybody.
let me ask you though. Now, here's where, and I'm not saying that what something is about should change your opinion of whether you like something or not, but it is about the kiss of death. It's about
Yeah,
youth.
I mean,
And it,
look, man,
and
I won't deny the album is smart. I
yeah.
won't deny that Tobias Forge is a brilliant guy, and what he's doing is really smart. I will never say that's not the case. It's just this album did not grab me the
So
way the others did.
so what I was going to say though, and I because I stand by my statement that just because if somebody knows what something is about doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to suddenly change their opinion about it. If you like something, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But it can. Sometimes knowing what something is about can influence the way. So I was just curious if
No.
and the reason I was
And
curious is because I know in my own experience if I tend to not like something, I tend to not dig any deeper on it. I tend to not think much about it. It's kind of like, I don't like that. But I just don't know if you had gone
I
down
have
this
no
road.
doubt. I mean, the album is conceptually interesting. It's a smart album. I would never deny any of that. It's not the song doesn't do it for me. And but hey, man, I still gave Dance Macabre a three,
Yeah,
which means I don't hate the song by
right.
any means.
Yeah.
It's Ghost. It's so at this point with this album and the way it's scored and the way it plays out in my rankings, I'm saying I like this album.
But see, and that's the
I
thing.
do like this album,
But
but you've come from such high heights
that's the
to a point
point.
where you're now doing a solid album, and that's a big fall. That's a big fall to take. So
That's okay. That was going to be my point is like in the context of where the three previous albums had taken you, and that's the danger of having albums that are so damn good.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. I just wanted to say I thought musically the cohesive kind of flow of this album. Here's just one a good example. The very end of Faith, you get this like little coda that just on the this kind of organ and choral melody, and that's the melody that comes back in Life Eternal. And there's little things like that on the album that make this album, out of all of the Ghost albums, this is the one that to me feels the most like a concept album. Now that
I
doesn't
can see that. I
that
mean, I can
doesn't
totally see that.
Mhm.
And I tend to really love concept albums. This one, it's a solid record.
Yeah.
And like if the album is playing in the background, I'm gonna or something from it came on the radio, I'd be like, oh, okay, pretty cool, man.
Hmm.
Um, it's just kind of not my
Well,
thing the way the others were.
it'll be
Where,
interesting.
where are where are the jazz hands? Since you talked about that, where are they?
Rats.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
See, so I want to say, and I know that you're not a huge Pro Memoria fan, Josh. We've talked about Pro Memoria before, but I just want to say, weirdly enough, the melody in Pro Memoria almost feels Jethro Tullish to me. Like it's almost like I can hear Ian Anderson singing it, but
Yeah.
that's just an aside. Now, um, so if you guys are okay, we can move on
Oh,
to
Yeah.
okay. So
let's do.
album number 5, Impera, and the kind of the theme of Impera is like the rise and fall of empires. Um, it's less cohesive as an album conceptually to me because there's some tracks that are just kind of like, how does that fit the theme? You know, kind of like on the very first album, Elizabeth, if you will. It's a great song, but it's like didn't really fit the theme, but that's okay. Whatever, it's okay. Um, First impressions of this when it came out. What do you thought? What do you thought?
I'm trying to think what the first track that I heard was it Kaiserion?
Yes.
That first, oh, I was blown away by that. I
I quite like Kaiserian.
that blew me away. Yeah, when I first heard that, I thought this is going to be, if all the other songs are that good, it's going to be fantastic. But
If
yeah,
if
and they're not, and they're not. If you want me to kind of continue with my thoughts
Go
on
ahead.
the record,
Yeah, go ahead.
again, great sounding album. Um, like Brian, you just mentioned, it's it. There are some things here that don't really, maybe they don't necessarily fit in concept wise. There's some tracks on. There is one track on here in particular that I actually don't like, and I think maybe you guys don't like it either. Um, and that would be 20s, which I think is the worst song that Ghost has ever recorded. Um, Other than that, there's nothing on this record that I don't like. It's just a matter of how much do I like it. So, for example, I gave Kaiserian a 5, and I gave Watcher in the Sky a 5, and those are the only 5-star songs on the album for me. But there's one, two, three, four, five 4-star songs. Um, and I'm going to echo what I said about about the previous record. Sounds fantastic. Um, the all the instruments are bright and punchy, and vocally, he just keeps getting better as a vocalist. I mean, if you go back and compare, not that he didn't do a good job on the debut, but he's expanding his vocal approach. He's got a really good vocal range, and I think that's very apparent. I think his Impera might be his standout vocal album. I mean, he does a lot vocally on this record, and it's all so good. I'm just going to shout out to the other songs that I noted in the 4-star range: Imperum, Spillways, Call Me Little Sunshine, Griftwood, and Respite on the Spital Fields. Those are all really, really good songs too. So this is a really, really solid album. 20 just kind of drags it down a little bit. I gave that a 2. If you push me, I probably could give it a 1 or a 1.5. It's not that good of a song. It's just so. Other than that, it's pretty simple.
Josh.
this album didn't score well, and so let me hit some high points because there's stuff on it I like. I did think Kaiserian was a good song, and I heard that and it's like, oh wow, no, I really like this. It's a good song. It got a 4. Um, Call Me Little Sunshine got a 4. I thought that's a good song. There's good moments on this album. I actually like Hunter's Moon. And Hunter's Moon was very hard for me to rate. I know that was on the Halloween soundtrack, I think. They put it on
Yeah.
this record. Um, I gave it, I don't normally do this. Integers are sometimes hard, but I actually gave it a 3.75. I don't
Okay.
typically do that, but it was a hard song to rate because it's like it's not quite a 4, but it's definitely better than the 3.5. Those are kind of my higher rate. Griftwood got a 3.5. There's some stuff. There's a lot of mediocre stuff on here. There's a lot of 3s on here. So stuff that's just kind of like, eh,
So
eh.
what was the lowest score for you?
Okay, so let's talk about the lows. There's some lows on this. 20s. Okay. That song sucks. And I gave it a 1. And I almost gave it a 0. But I realized, like, if I had a choice between listening to, like, Jimmy Buffett or 20s, I'm going to go with 20s, okay?
Okay,
So,
wait,
so it
Josh.
garnered a point.
Josh,
but that song sucks.
What if Jimmy Buffett did 20s?
I mean, it would that would be a zero, or I don't know, maybe it would even do better. I don't know, but I don't like 20s, and I'll tell you. In addition to that, "Darkness at the Heart of My Love," the comment I put after it was "WTF? Why?
Yeah,
Why
I know.
did you do
It's
this song? This is boring the hell out of me."
I, I agree. To me this I mean I can listen to it. There's nothing overly offensive to my sensibilities about it. It's just kind of there. It's like, okay, there's a song, it's like to me, "Darkness at the Heart of My Law," "Darkness at the Heart of My Love" is a song I could easily just skip. I just
Yeah,
okay. As far as 20s, I gave it a 1.5. So we all agree on that. That's a very polarizing song. There are people I'm assuming that love it, but um, the riff in it and the rhythm of it, I think, are actually interesting. But what's done with it and how the song comes together and the lyric and everything, it's just like, no.
And the chorus is
I,
awful.
I
It's
just,
dreadful.
I can't, Now here's where I'm gonna split with you guys. I'm gonna split hairs a little bit. I'm not going to say it sucks because it might be really good in a certain sense. I'm just going to say I don't like it
I don't like it
at all.
either. I gave it the highest grade. I can't believe it. I gave it a two.
Yeah. And it's funny because like if you ask me like what is like if I had to pick one Ghost song that you just absolutely don't like at all, that's an easy question. 20s, period.
Right. Me,
The entire catalog.
me too.
So I also want to say that this album kind of ticks me off a little bit when I understand and I appreciate and like musical interludes and stuff like that at times, but they really got to stand alone
yeah.
in a certain sense. And Bite of Passage is that's a cheap shot because it's
And
basically just an arpeggiated chord for like what 20 seconds. And it's like giving that its own track, it's like, oh, you go buy the record and it's like, oh, it's listed. Oh, there's a song in here called Bite of Passage. It's like it's not even a proper musical interlude. It's like
Right.
they're
And
fooling.
they've done so well with their view, like Devil Church. I mean, they've done
Yeah,
so well with some of these musical interludes
yeah,
or intros or outros. They've done so well with them
yeah.
in the past. And this is just like, eh.
I know. I was like, seriously? Come on. Now, Hunter's Moon. I don't mind Hunter's Moon. It's weird though, because to me, Hunter's Moon, because I saw it and heard it first in that abysmal Halloween movie, it still sounds like an outlier, like a soundtrack song that got stuck on the record. And
It
so
does.
it
I
doesn't
would agree
have,
with that.
okay,
I just
so
really do like the song.
I agree. I do like the song, except this is the first real moment where he starts using keyboard sounds that I really object to. There's like kind of twinkly little kind of keyboard sounds that it's like you could have done like a kind of a grindy Hammond organ in here, but you chose that
Yeah.
instead. No. And there's some of that on the new album too. But the other thing is that I think is kind of interesting about Impera is that it's the first album that where the first opening track is actually in a major key. It has a very uplifting kind of sense to it. And I wanted to point out that there's a real, almost kind of like musical irony to that because and Josh, you're familiar with Hypatia, um, who was killed. She was murdered. She was an astronomer, philosopher, etc. She was murdered in a former pagan temple called the Caesarion, which had been converted into a Christian church in the year 415. And so her murder is kind of what this song, I guess, is kind of about. It's kind of that dovetail of like the fall of the pagan and the rise of the Christian empires and how they kind of meet. And if you listen carefully, the backing vocal in the chorus, they're saying Hypatia. And so I thought that was interesting because there's a certain drama to that story, and
Yeah.
putting that in the context of this kind of like glorious sounding song, I thought was actually a work of genius.
Yeah, it is a good moment on that record.
Yeah, the other thing I think is Watcher in the Sky. I
And
think
Watch This has a good song. That's a
I
good
think
song.
that to me that's Watcher in the Sky and Kaiserion are the high points. Um, I really like Spillways, although I played it once in Andy's presence, and he said, "Boy, that sounds like Bon Jovi," and that really kind of scarred me. So, but Watcher in the Sky, what a riff, man! That's great riff. So my overall assessment of Impera is it's got some really high peaks, but it's also got more valleys than some of the other albums. And that's again where the rating system comes in because it's like, well, how's all that going to average out? You know,
Yeah.
high highs can help balance out low lows. So, shall we move on to the newest album?
Let's talk
Yes.
about the new album.
So, the newest album, Skeleta, which is kind of glaring off of my lights here. Um, I haven't seen or heard anything about the theme of this record except that I saw Tobias Forge say that it's a more personal record, that the songs are more personal, and I kind of wonder if the term skeleta, which in Latin is skeletons, if that's kind of like you have skeletons in your closet, you've got secrets. These are my personal thoughts or whatever. And if that's the case, that's a brilliant way to stick with the kind of the ghost kind of uh, vibe of the whole thing, um, but yet to kind of take it away from kind of where they had been. So, my initial impression of this album when I first listened to it was, yeah, but it's grown on me. It has grown on me, and I do think it is more consistent than Impera.
Mhm.
So straight through. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. One callback on Impera is "Call Me a Little Sunshine."
Mhm.
I think that's a great song. I gave that a 4.
Me
Okay, but
too.
anyway, back to the newest album. Um, honestly, I didn't score anything on here higher than a 4, and I only gave one song a 4,
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
and that's
Interesting.
Lacrima, which I guess means tears in. But yeah, I gave that a 4. I think that's a good song. Um, as some of the songs grow on me a little bit, they might inch up a little bit. I gave Peacefield a 3.5. I could see that being a 4. I could
Yeah,
see
but
Peacefield being a 4. It's a little bit like Separate Ways, people have said that.
Yeah.
But really three and a half. Um, but nothing really goes below that though. So, solid record. Maybe I feel this way about this album, kind of the way you do about Prequelle, Josh. I don't know, but that's solid record. Nothing really majorly objectionable, except um, I do think Marks of the Evil One is a little weird because uh, in the chorus he repeats the word there, THERE, but to me it sounds like he's saying dare, dare, and it's like it doesn't come across very good to me. And Missilia Amori, Missile of Love. I mean, that's completely stupid. That is just completely stupid. It's not as bad of a song, I think, as 20s, but it's dumb. And it's got cheesy keyboards in it that I don't really like. So I'm going to say my least favorite songs are Missilia Amore and Marks of the Evil One. I think high point would be Umbra. Also, I could see that maybe inching up a little bit. I think the middle section of Umbra is really good, but it's pulled down by some cheese keys. He's got to get over the use of cheese keys, man. I don't know. Go ahead, guys.
Grant?
Oh, you want me to go? The high point for me is Satanized. I gave that a 5. That's the only 5-star track on the record.
Did you feel about that when you first heard it?
No,
It grew on you?
it was like maybe the fourth or fifth time I listened to it. I was like, yeah, this is actually really, really good. Um, so that's my high water mark on the album. I give several 4s: Peacefield, Lacrima, Xenotaph, did I pronounce that correctly? And Umbra. I gave all those 4s.
Hmm.
The low point for me is Guiding Lights. I gave it a 3. I give nothing on this record below a 3, but Mycelia, Amore, and Guiding Lights, I give those a 3.
Okay.
The record's pretty consistent, but it's lacking the high. You don't have the high points on this record or Impera or Prequelle that you have on Meliora, those consistently high points. It sounds great, produced great, the instruments sound great, vocally it's really good. It's just the songs are good, they're just not as good,
Would you
would be my
say it's
overall.
would you say it's the same kind of thing like Josh said earlier, how when Prequelle, it's like it's a good record, but put up against the previous things,
Oh yeah,
it's like if this had been Ghost's first record, I probably would have been like, wow, this is a really good band.
Yeah,
But
that's a
I'm
good
like,
point.
doesn't really hold up compared to some of the other stuff. But
That's
yeah,
part of the
that's
problem
not
is
to say
their
it's a
first three albums are so good.
well, and part of the way we do this with the scoring, you can find out how close they are.
that's the
And
thing, and that's going to come in at the end when we show the
yeah,
ranking
yeah,
on there
yeah,
too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that may or may not. I mean, I'll have something to say about that as well. But yeah, I think that's a fair point. When your first 3 records were that good, that's quite a pedigree. Um, and that's not to say these records aren't good. We all agree we like these records. We just don't like them as much as maybe, or I'm supposing we don't like them as much maybe as the first 3. That's
Well,
going to find out.
yeah, you know what? To that point, I'm going to say speak for yourself.
We'll find out.
No,
Yeah, that's. I can't
that,
wait.
that's
I can't
that's
wait.
why.
I can't
But
wait.
but
You can't wait, and you can't wait.
yeah, okay, Josh.
So I really like this record. Um, it's consistent. I found I struggled a little bit. There's not too much. There's one 5-star track in this album, which you guys will be surprised by.
Ooh,
Brian, I'm going to take issue with you because Mycelia Amora is a really good song.
it's
And
not.
I like it because to me, I just hear like mid 80s metal hair. It's almost hair metal. That riff is really good. It's a throwback song. I actually really like that song.
Okay, but here's
I admit, okay, blah, 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 blah.
okay.
I admit that there's some cheese. Okay, there is some cheese to this song, but I really like that. I love that about the song. That's an appeal for me. It's not a detractor.
But it's funny because if a band had put that song out in 1987, you would have
I
hated it.
wouldn't have liked it. I wouldn't have liked it
You
in
would have hated it.
1987, but I love it now. It's like Dokken, man. I don't think I would have liked it because I wasn't a big Dokken fan back in the 80s.
But
But
now you're
now I
rocking with
listen to it, it's like,
Dokken.
oh, that sounds like Dokken, you know?
Well,
Rocking like Dokken.
and it's a fair point because as we age, we look at things differently. I mean, I hated a lot of the pop stuff in the 80s, but when I hear a lot of that stuff now, it's like
Yeah.
it has a very different sensibility to me. So yeah, okay.
So there's a lot of mid-range stuff on here. There's a lot of I struggled again. There's a lot of 3.75s. I don't normally go for that integer, but I
Hmm.
just found that it's like, well, it's not really a 4, but it's better than a 3.5. So, like Lacrima, Satanized, Marks of the Evil One, Umbra. Those were all those 3.75s. A song I gave a 5 to. I really like Excelsis. I love how the album ends. It's a weird song. I gave it a 5. Um,
It's
that's where I'm at.
it's funny because that song I did not like at all the first time I heard it, but every time I listened to it, it grew on me, and
Yeah,
I think
I think it's gorgeous.
It's a slow kind of grower, I think, and so I could see as I continue to listen to the album on and off throughout the year, I can see maybe where some of my opinions might soften a little bit. I think it's interesting though because nothing. This is the first Ghost album where straight across the board things had to grow on me. I mean, even on Impera, like you know, Kaiserion, it was like boom, right out of the gates. Great. I love that. Watcher in the Skies. Great. And just like there's been stuff on every single record that hit me immediately. Nothing hit me immediately on this on this newest record.
And for
So
me, it hit me all very right mid range, like there was no 20s, which I don't like.
yeah.
There was no stuff there was nothing where I was like that's objectionable to me. It's all no, this is really solid. It's a consistent album. As I listen to it again, it's kind of like it's edging up a little bit as far as like no, I actually really like this album.
Okay. Well, okay. So it'll be interesting to find out where this album then falls as it relates to the catalog. So did you bring your props?
I did, yes.
Are we ready to do a countdown then?
Top six,
Yes.
6-1.
6-1. Okay, so let's just take here a moment, and I'm going to reorder these so that they are in the order that I need to disclose them. Were there any surprises for you guys?
A
There were, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
little bit.
Okay, I was kind of surprised um, in certain respects. I thought my number two and number one um I thought the album that came in at that I thought would come in at number two actually did not. We'll put it that way. Um
Um,
and
yeah,
and
I thought my number three would be I thought my number three and two would be flipped around, and they weren't.
and an album that I thought was going to come in around number three was only one percentage off from being number one.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So shall we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Six.
All right. So in the number six spot for me is Skeleta. How about for you guys?
Oh, no.
No, Josh and I, we agree.
Yeah.
Impera. This. Okay, so you said surprises. I
Yep.
was surprised by how low this album scored. Like this was not really a. It's like, hey, if in a pinch I need to listen to a record, I'll
Mhm.
throw this on. But this is
Yeah.
not. This did not score terribly well.
Well, I would say this. I'll readily agree that Skeleta I think is a more consistent record. I think it's more consistent. In that sense, it might be better, but it did not score higher for me.
It's
So
fair.
in the number five spot for me is Impera.
Skeleta.
Prequelle.
Ooh,
Interesting.
okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. This one kind of surprised me in the number four slot because, well, but I could say this about all of this, the next four albums. I couldn't stop listening to this record when it came out. But in the number four spot for me is
Oh,
Infestissumam.
that's crazy.
Prequelle.
Skeleton.
So this is the second time we've none of us have had the same record. That's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is their best album since their best album.
Okay. In the number three spot, this actually surprised me because I couldn't say I say to myself, how could this not be number one or number two? But it didn't. And it's the debut.
Debut.
This is where I put Opus upon, or sorry, Infestissumam.
Number three.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought this would be my number two,
Oh yeah.
and it's scored really well. It's a really high scoring album, but at number two,
Number
Yeah,
two.
I thought this would be my number two, but it's not.
So number two, I have Prequelle. Wow.
So
Josh, you have
third,
the debut, and Brent, you have Infestissumam.
it's the third time we had none of the same
Yeah,
records.
but
So
we're
that
all going to be agreed on this one.
okay, so number one, Meliora.
Meliora.
Now, I think, we use that word agree. I think there actually is some general agreement here in the sense that these are all, especially the first four, are well, Josh is an exception there for you with the prequel, but those first three albums really, really strong. But there is some disagreement, I guess. I actually am surprised. There's 1% in my scoring that separates Meliora from Prequel. So
Okay.
if I had
Oh
scored a
my
couple of
God.
songs, yeah,
No.
yeah.
So for me, there is there's 2 point something percent difference between number four and number six.
Mm.
And there's a 6 point gap between one and two. So number one is
Oh,
won by
wow.
a pretty good margin.
Wow.
See, and
See,
this is where this was a bit of a surprise, and this is where I think I do differ from you guys.
mhm.
There's the gaps are pretty well defined for me. Like, I mean, Meliora is just it's in the stratosphere. The debut, which comes second, scores very, very high, but there's still some space between them. I was surprised at Infestissumam because of how much I loved when it came out. Still scored really well, but there was some real distance between that and Meliora. And from there, it just, I mean, the distance between Meliora and uh, Impera is huge, huge.
I was surprised
Those
also
aren't even in the same ballpark as
that
albums.
I was surprised Infestismum scored as high as like I thought
So
it might be three for me, but it came in number two.
So for me, Meliora and Prequel separated by 1%.
Wow.
Meliora and Opus Eponymous are separated only by 4%. So I mean, these are really, really close records. Here, what I want to know, if you have your notes there, what is the gap between the highest and lowest between so for me, Meliora came in first and Skeleta came in last. The difference there is a difference of 22%.
For me, it's between Meliora and Impera. The difference is like 13.83%.
Oh, so I have a bigger gap between the it's funny, I have a bigger gap between my favorite and least favorite, but you have bigger gaps between one, two, and three and stuff. So okay.
And for me, I don't do the percentages like you guys. I do like a star, like a point rating, like four
Yeah.
point whatever. And I mean, Meliora scored a massive 4.8 out of 5.
Hmm.
And in contrast, Impera scored 3.06.
Hmm.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, there we go. That's an extensive deep dive into Ghost's catalog. That's a long episode, about an hour and a half. So if you are still with us, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, but more than important than that, if you're a Ghost fan, put the way you rank these albums. Obviously you can see we have some similarities, but some big differences. Uh, I got nothing else to say about Ghost, I guess, other than Brent and I and my wife, we're gonna go see them here in a few days. So, um, anything else you want to say about Ghost before we sign off? Do a little Underlords thing and sign off.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
fun episode.
so as I said at the beginning, we write and record music under the name Underlords of the Overworld. We're just guys. We've been writing and recording on and off together since we were kids, and we just like to keep doing it. And the name Underlords of the Overworld kind of speaks to our self-deprecating sense of humor. We started off, we couldn't ever get a singer, so we wrote instrumental stuff, and we've evolved since then. We had trouble keeping a drummer in the state, kind of drove them off all the time. It seemed like they kept moving away. And then we ended up with a singing drummer. So, things evolved. And speaking of evolutions, Josh writes under the name H. Prescott Lemon and started off by writing I would say 99% fictional backstory. of an alternate universe kind of history, which is a kind of just a great yarn. I think it's just a fun read. Um, there's the OAO, which is in the same universe, that series. And then, of course, he's also got a new volume of short stories called Smaller Than Death. And we're currently working on an album of the same title of songs inspired by the short stories. So the music can be found on Bandcamp and all streaming services. If you're interested in checking out and supporting independent artists, the books are available through Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon and type in H. Prescott Lemon, or check out the links below if you're interested in supporting. We are perfectly committed to a hobby we lose money at, so we don't earn anything doing this. It's just for fun. So, anything else you guys want to say before we sign off for the night?
No,
Nope, this has
fun.
been fun.
All right. Well, like I said, like, subscribe, etc. And yeah, have a good
And
night.
listen to Ghost. Listen to Ghost.
Okay. Toodles.